This is 3FM.
I've run twice now in previous general election and by-election, and I nearly got in. I don't think the present administration is up to the job. There are a lot retiring, mind you. From what I've gathered from people going around the houses, the main concern for most of the people involved, as they have several concerns, but the main concern is health and access to health care. Basically, all people really want is to make sure when they pick up the phone to see a doctor, they see a doctor. Not in 10 days, but see a doctor. Also, if they turn up in casualty, because you can't predict when you're going to be ill, that there's actually somebody there and there are adequate staff 24/7. This at the moment is not the case, and therefore as a policy I have said that funding should be prioritised for health and the services, and after they have reached an acceptably high standard, then whatever over can be used for other purposes, but the funds are prioritised first for health. The Constitution of the Isle of Man states that we have to balance the books, otherwise we get taken up. We can't run a budget deficit. That's the way it is. We have had a lot of money coming in over the years through the finance sector. Every problem we've had, all it seems to me they've done, they haven't tried to solve it, they've just thrown money at it. Now we haven't got any money, they can't throw money at it, they don't know what to do. And instead of balancing the books, because they're so financially incompetent, they're now having to asset strip their national wealth. These are assets that were bought by taxpayers' money, and they're now selling them off because they just cannot get their act together. These people admitting they can't do their job properly, and these people really should be replaced. But people have said to me, what experience have I had? Well, I haven't experienced in the financial incompetence that these people have. And it's about time people were brought in that knew what they were doing financially, because these people have admitted they don't. If we don't have immigration control, how can we have a good health service? You can't have one without the other. Because if we want a high standard health service, and you're only reading in the UK papers how now they're rationing hospitals, I wouldn't say it's meltdown, but it's close to it. If we don't have immigration control, people will come over here and we'll have health tourists, and we'll never be able, it'll be a bottomless pit, we will never be able to get our standards up. So that is one thing we should have. And the other thing is, you use Sarah's law, what is the point of knowing who's here when anybody can walk in and walk out? Now, I'm going to be careful what I say. I do not want to get people too worried, but I would say, I wouldn't labour the point, that certain things have happened in France, particularly where they are part of the Schengen Agreement, where you have no border controls, and firearms and people are being bought in one country where it's easy to get a hold of them, and as there's no borders, they are just being driven straight into other countries where it's much harder to get a hold of them, and we've seen the resultant mess. We don't want anything like that. It's simple. People have to have a passport to go on the plane, they have to have photographic ID. It's already there, and I can go back to the 70s when we had tourists. A lot of people, it was long before we had computers or passport control, and under the Prevention of Terrorism Act in those days, you had to fill in a form when you came to the Isle of Man stating where you lived, where you were going in the Isle of Man, your purpose of visit, and how long you were staying for, and everyone had to do that. All I'm saying is now we have the computer ability. Any passport comes in, we just put the serial number on the main computer, the police can do it, and it flags up anyone that could be a problem. But it's a low-cost way of making sure that things do not get totally out of control.
More music for the Isle of Man.
3FM.